What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and this, triumphantly, is the final part of my series for drawing the Zodiac as Oddities. I've been doing these in groups of 4, so there are 3 episodes total, and I started with Capricorn, so this episode is going to be picking back up with Virgo. Before, when I thought a Virgo of an animal, actually, I thought a lamb made sense. They have this association with, like, innocence and purity, so I feel like it fits the virgin. Both also tend to stereotypically be associated with, sacrifice. Because this is an Oddities series, I went for a 2-headed lamb, a different configuration than what I did before with the calf, but I learned something kind of interesting. Apparently the birth of a 2-headed lamb is considered a really bad omen? I guess that makes some sense, although it does kind of conflict with the whole innocence and purity thing. Regardless, I made the lamb standing and spent a while trying to make the heads look good here. I used a reference, but I tried to kind of turn the heads a bit, and it was awkward trying to place the ears. I've weirdly spent a lot of time drawing sheep before, so this was an interesting revisit. I think this particular part of the series had me considering shading a lot more, and I went in a lot with one of my more favorite standard clip brushes, the Paint and Apply. It blends really nicely, which helps for things like fluffy baby 2-headed sheep. Next up, we have Libra, and listen, this is going to be another stretch, so stay with me. I did the skull of a two-faced or Janus cat with old coins in the eyes. My thought process is, Janus is a Roman god with 2 heads. This is the reason for the nickname of cats like this, and is the god of beginnings and endings. So he represents sort of a form of balance, like the scale for Libra. Again, it's a stretch. The coins are supposed to be for another form of balance, the 50-50 chance of a coin flip. I also made them gold, silver, and bronze for that representation of the lowest, middle, and highest value. Balance! This took a surprisingly long time for as almost simple of a thing as it could seem, just the skull. I also started my lines on the sketch layer at some point, so that definitely didn't help. I realized that I've done a lot of 2-headed animals in this series. I just think they're neat. Also, there are just a lot of animals in the Zodiac, and it feels like the more obvious way to represent them is oddities. Next up, we have Scorpio, and I decided to go back to a concept from the beginning of the series. I did a sort of art piece taxidermy of a manticore. The only weird piece of this is the tail, which I sort of attached to the end of the real tail so that the size could be slightly more realistic, because otherwise, like, a giant scorpion tail just would not make sense in a real life sense. I also decided to give it more human eyes, because in some cases the manticore is known for having a human face, and I feel like cat faces can still be very human-like, so I decided that the human-like eye inserts would add that and just be a little bit disquieting. At one point, I even thought that I'd make it like those horrendous old lion taxidermies with the two human teeth, but I still wanted some kind of like majesty to it. None of the others in this series really got a goofy vibe, so I feel like putting it in just this late wouldn't match the rest of the series. The eyes do a lot just by themselves. Finally, we get to the last part of our little exploration, Sagittarius. Now, the archer is often depicted as a centaur, but in my endeavor to make creatures, I also decided against making any humans. So I thought it would be interesting to make a horse with an extra pair of legs in the front from a parasitic twin. Apparently that just doesn't happen, or isn't documented, so finding references for that exactly was basically impossible. I think I got it looking fairly realistic, but that's obviously never been the full goal for this series, so it's fine if it isn't. I also figured the taxidermy could have some arrows in it for the archery vibe as well. There's a little bit of an extra touch of the macabre. I think it also makes the horse look a bit more badass because there are multiple arrows, so it was like the horse just couldn't be brought down that way or something. This is definitely the longest name I've had to try to fit into these pieces, by the way. It took up the whole bottom. But those are the last 4 in my Astrological Oddities series. Like many bigger projects, I had fun, but I am also relieved that this is done. This was a bit of a divergence from my regular sort of stylistic approach. I know I tend to lean more cute or goofy, so I hope that you like this little endeavor of mine despite that. I do like a lot of the creepy, weird, and occult too, so if you ever want to see more of that, I am happy to deliver. Either way, let me know what you think, what you'd like to see in the comments below. Give this video a like if you liked it, and of course you can always subscribe to catch more of my most recent art challenges and projects. At that though, I'll see y'all next time.